As a country founded upon freedom, the greatest deprivation of freedom was slavery. There's no silver lining in freedom, in slavery. The truth is that anything you can learn, that any benefits that people suggest you had during slavery, you would have had as a free person. What slavery was really about separating families, about mutilating humans, and even raping their wives. It was devastating. So I would hope that every person in our country, and certainly running for president, would appreciate that. And listen, people have bad days. Sometimes they regret what they say, and we should ask them again to clarify their positions.
It's looking more and more like Ron DeSantis. The once hateful hope of the Republican Party is being seen as vulnerable enough to attack. Everyone fully knows the power structure of politics here. As long as the leader is polling well and has the attention of the core voters, it's taboo to criticize them. But with Ron still trailing Trump by a significant margin, despite the laundry list of legal issues facing the former president, the wolves are coming out to pick at the injured carcass, including Senator Tim Scott here. But Ron found a way to respond.
What do you think about what Tim Scott said?
You know, I think part of the reason our country has struggled is because D.C. Republicans all too often accept false narratives, accept lies that are perpetrated by the left, and to accept the lie that Kamala Harris has been perpetrating even when that has been debunked. That's not the way you do it. The way you do it, the way you lead, is to fight back against the lies, is to speak the truth. So I'm here defending my state of Florida against false accusations and against lies.
Ron's banking on the assumption that Republicans won't give a damn that he's blowing off the concerns of both Tim Scott and Representative Byron Donalds, who also had concerns about the curriculum. And he's probably right, though. But that doesn't mean there aren't more former friends ready to take a bite at the limping Trump clone on other issues.
You, in my view, are pretty quick to use the power of the state against certain corporations, so you don't like these woke corporations. Disney, after it attacked your Parental Rights and Education Act, Anheuser-Busch recently for hurting the pension investments you said of Floridians with the whole Bud Light debacle. Aren't you doing the very thing to these companies that conservatives are mad at left-wing leaders for doing, using government to punish citizens for political wrongthink?
Is Megyn Kelly actually going after Ron DeSantis over his anti-woke crusade that's not generating the political pop that they expected? Ron's mind must be spinning, because for years, conservative pundits celebrated his empty policies against companies as if he was some kind of rock star.
Having one company with their own government and special privileges, when that company has pledged itself to attacking the parents in my state, when that company has very high up people talking about injecting pansexualism into programming for young kids. It's wrong. Walt Disney would not want that. And so get back to the mission. Do what you did great. That's why people love the company, and you've lost your way. Maybe this will be the wake-up call that they need to get back on track.
All right, Nick, Emily, you've heard the reaction. I think this is a hot political issue.
Now that the stage, lights, and fawning audience aren't around, all that's left are his hateful policies that they thought would put him over the top. The policies conservatives cheered, but now solely belong to Ron to explain away.
No, not at all. So taking Anheuser-Busch, I mean, we're not punishing them. They departed from business practices by indulging in social activism. That has caused a huge problem for their company, and their stock price has gone down. Well, our pension fund in Florida holds Anheuser-Busch InBev stock. So it's actually hurt teachers, it's hurt cops, it hurts firefighters who depend on that pension fund. And so
didn't you support the boycott against them?
No, I did, but that's just as a personal thing. But I mean, we didn't have like the state government, necessarily, putting power about it. They departed from their fiduciary duty, and so we're investigating.
How can you say they departed? I'm not in favor of the Bud Light thing at all. But how can you say they departed from their fiduciary duty? They sent a beer can to this very controversial person, which upset the consumers, and the consumers had their say. But how is that a departure from their? I mean, how does the state get involved in that?
Yeah, Ron. Who told you to attack companies based off of their PR stances that look to appeal to a wider customer base? Yeah, that was stupid, bro.
Governor DeSantis is close to making a fool of himself with his Walt Disney obsession.
Talk about like stepping on a rake, getting in a fight with your largest employer.
If you're going to take on every business that decides to celebrate the BQ plus community, you're going to be taking on a lot of different woke corporations. It worked when he was beating Disney, but he got outmaneuvered, and now it just seems this like petty tit for tat. Like, what is the end game here in sight?
This is a big employer inside Florida. I think the governor should sit down with him. I don't think the idea of building a prison next to a place that you bring your family is the best idea. I think it would be much better if you sat down and solved the problems.
Everyone was on his side when they thought attacking the woke boogeyman was a winning strategy. But since his one fake principle hasn't panned out for him, Megyn Kelly didn't only question the Bud Light fight, but she also went after him on Disney, too.
So Florida, from many decades ago, was joined at the hip with this one company. They started going down the road of sexualizing children. We just could not be joined at the hip with a company that was doing that. That's antithetical to our values in Florida. So what we said is, you don't get to control your own government. You don't get to be exempt from laws and taxes. I draw the line at protecting kids. We are going to protect our kids, and we will take on big corporations to do so.
So are you suggesting you would have done this irrespective of them criticizing and fighting your Parents and Education Act? I mean, that this had nothing to do with their stance on your law?
Well, obviously, they're supporting sexualizing kids in Florida schools. I mean, they were putting their corporate weight behind ensuring that could happen. So of course that was a factor. But
that's an admission that they were punished by you in part, by the state, for their political viewpoint.
It's not a punishment.
DeSantis has learned the hard way that the Republican Party doesn't give a damn about the culture wars that they claim to champion, but simply the bigoted voters they hope to attract with them.